I'm honored to introduce Michael Singer as keynote speaker of our second annual UF Mindfulness Day. Michael is well known and highly respected teacher of spirituality and mindfulness. His New York Times best-selling books, The Untethered Soul and The Surrender Experiment, are truly life-changing and have inspired people all over the world to better their lives. When Oprah Winfrey read The Untethered Soul, she said it instantly became her favorite book, and she was giving it to everyone she knows. I don't know if you saw the interview, but it's pretty striking. Oprah did an hour-long interview with Michael, introducing people from all walks of life to his direct, down-to-earth approach to mindfulness and spirituality. Now, here in Gainesville, we know Michael Singer as Mickey. He's an UF graduate and has lived here teaching and practicing yoga and mindfulness for over 45 years at the Temple of the Universe. And Mickey strongly believes that spirituality is for everyone. His teachings have changed the lives of millions of people worldwide. Mickey has a rare gift for communicating mindfulness in a practical way that everyone can grasp. And we are very pleased and honored that he's with us here today to share his insights. Welcome, Mickey Singer.
Hi. How is everybody today? I'm very honored to have been invited to meet with you all today and to give one of the keynote speeches for the second annual Mindfulness Day of the University of Florida. I love that the University of Florida does things like this, to have some amazing centers like the Center for Integrative Medicine and the Center for Spirituality and Peace and Arts and Medicine and Mindfulness. You have a progressive for a Southern university. It's very amazing. It's very, very beautiful. So today, I would like to spend some time taking down some of the erroneous concepts about mindfulness, such as tying it to meditation, tying it to yoga, and I'm a yogi, and tying it to New Age type stuff, because it's not. Diet doesn't get tied to meditation and New Age type stuff. Exercise doesn't get tied to diet and New Age type stuff. Athletes exercise, athletes watch their diet. People who have careers, you should see, I was in the business community, you know that, CEOs, they're real into health freak and running and doing stuff to, why? Because you find out that you perform better at every single thing you're doing. Your relationships are better, food tastes better, your sports are better, your studying is better, everything is better, your career is better if you get yourself together. You know that. And we're not all together, so I'm not judging anybody, but it certainly helps to have a decent diet and to give at least reasonable amount of exercise to yourself, and you all know that. Doesn't mean we always do it, but you know that. Somehow, in the midst of all this, for a very long time, the concept that how we use our mind and what we do with our mind is a private affair. Get away from me. You can talk about my diet, but you don't go talk about what I do with my mind. That's me. Well, it's not true. You are not your mind. You are the user of your mind. Your mind, you say it's your mind, all right? So you will come to a point in your growth, and I'm not talking to you as New Agey spiritual stuff, as a person, as a human being who is trying to live the fullest life that you, got an echo going on, trying to live the fullest life that you can and to do the best you can at whatever you chose to do. I have no interest in talking to you about what you choose to do, what career path you're on, what relationships you're in, anything like that. But I would love to be able to think, I would love to feel that what we talk about today and what you end up doing with it can help you be the best at whatever you chose to be. Because that's what we're talking about. It's your choice what you choose to be, all right? And you have a lifetime to do it. But there are things that can help you be that. And one of those, like I said, the most simple level is you take decent care of your body. If you don't take decent care of your body, it doesn't do well, does it? And when it's not doing well, you can't do well. You can't go to work, you can't concentrate, and so on. I want to talk about what mindfulness really is. right? It gets pigeonholed into different things. It really is about saying, can we have a discussion about what you're doing with your mind? There, that's mindfulness. Be mindful of what you're doing with your mind. So what does that mean? You raise your hand, you say to me, well, I use my mind to study. I say, wonderful, great. I hope you do well at it. I use my mind to do research. I'm into research. Wonderful. That's a great thing to do with your mind. I use your mind. I love to read and learn about history, and whatever it is that you are doing with your mind, that is fine. I don't want to touch that. I want to talk about what your mind is doing when you're not using it. Because wait till you see. It's like the great secret, the white elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. All right? I am telling you there are two ways that your mind can operate. One is willfully, consciously. You have the ability, I won't make you do it, but you have the ability right now, if I tell you to visualize a boat. Okay, do it. Visualize a boat. Bigger, bigger, bigger. Cruise ship, Queen Mary. It does it, doesn't it? All right? Write down, I won't make it too complicated, write a 14 on a blackboard and a 2 and multiply them together. It does it. You have the right to willfully use this thing that you have in there called the mind. I'm not a neuroscientist. He's a neuroscientist. He wants to know why that works and what's the mechanism, right? If I ride a bicycle, I just want to know that it rides. I don't care about all the gears and the chains and how it gets worked. Especially a car. Let's take a car a little more complicated. I don't need to understand the whole thing. Just give me a car that works, all right? You have a mind. We will let the scientists figure out exactly the mechanisms through which it operates. That's fine. But I'll tell you a secret. You're the one who's operating it. Do you understand that? Like, they're all excited if they have you go in. You know, they do these what are they, not CAT scans, what are they? MRIs. The MRIs where they have you think about something. Oh, Harvard, everybody's researching this. Princeton do a lot with this. Have you think about something, and they can do a brain scan, right, MRI, and see a color change in certain areas and probe in. Isn't that wonderful, right? How come they're not trying to find out who you are that gets it to do that? They're all proud and they get Nobel Prizes because they traced it down as to what neurons are doing what and what's the relationship. I want to know who you are that made it happen, much more than I'm interested in the fact that they can measure the darn thing. Do you understand that? You're in there. You have a mind, don't you? Nobody has to prove that to you, all right? And you have the ability, within reason, to make it do what you want. Yes, Einstein's was more powerful. Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I shouldn't use him anymore, but anyway, Schwarzenegger has more powerful arms than I do. So Einstein had a more powerful mind. The truth is you have a mind, you have a human mind, way beyond the possum or the armadillo. They can't do what I just told them to do. You understand that? You have a brilliant mind. I like saying that to everybody. Do you understand that? You have to stop thinking Einstein had a brilliant mind. You have a brilliant mind. You have a brilliant mind. You are of a species of which you have the human mind, right, that was dropped down onto a planet where there was nothing but nature. Nothing. There's nature. And your mind figured out how to dig up metals, take sand, and turn it into silicon, and build a rocket ship, get in it, and fly to the moon. Wow. You think dolphins are great? Let's see them do that. I'm serious. Your mind is so incomprehensible brilliant, isn't it? So don't own it as, oh yeah, but I left back at algebra once. So what? There's another animal on the planet that can do algebra. You should be proud of yourself. All right? You have a brilliant mind. The question is, how are you using it? When you willfully use your mind, and I don't need to prove this to you, you know you are in there willfully using your mind. You can make it do what you want it to do. That's wonderful. That's beautiful. You can learn to be better at that. Part of school teaches you to use your mind, doesn't it? Teaches you to work with it and become stronger with it and so on. I am interested in what is happening to this thing called mind, this brilliant object, this mechanism, when you are not using it. Because I spent 45 years watching very diligently in the laboratory. You're going to understand what the Laboratory of Soul Research, that's in here, watching what is going on in that mind. And it's kind of like a horror movie. I'm afraid to tell you what I found. Right? When you are not using your mind, believe it or not, it still goes. It's the great secret. When you're not using your arm, it sits there. When you want to use it, you do something with it. If you woke up in the morning and your arm was doing this, right, you wouldn't say, oh, I guess I'm supposed to be a painter or a politician, right? You would go to a doctor. You say there's something wrong. I'm not telling my arm to move, and it's moving, right or wrong. Why don't you do that with your mind? How is it that when you're not using your mind and it's still in there creating thoughts that you have no control over? You don't even know why it's doing it. Why do you tolerate that? What mindfulness is, the body of study of knowledge of mindfulness is that. Is first become, forget this be here now stuff, forget concentrate on what you're doing. We'll get there in a second. Be mindful of what your mind is doing or you're going to be in big trouble. What is your mind doing? It's really very, very easy. I guarantee you, it'll take you 10 seconds. You won't like what you see. What you're going to see is that when you are not using your mind, when am I not using your mind? When you're driving down the road, going somewhere, when you're sitting on the potty, whatever you want to call it, right? All the moments you take in your life where you are not consciously doing something, I guarantee you there's something going on in your mind. What's it doing? Oh my God, I can't believe I said that. I'm so embarrassed. That was ridiculous. If I hadn't said that, I was doing... Does anybody's mind do that? Answer me. Okay? What is the benefit of that? The answer is zero. Do you understand that? How about this? You're driving down the road, you're going on a vacation or driving to Miami, and there's a sign, a billboard on the road, and it reminds you of a relationship that you had with your father or your mother 25 years ago. And your mind starts reiterating the discussion as if it was going on now, or your ex-husband or whatever it is, and it's still going on in there, isn't it? What in the world is that? Of what benefit is that? Very few of you in business, in relationships, in life, would allow a cost-benefit analysis to take place of which the cost is 100% and the benefit is zero, and you would still do it. Correct? That's what I'm telling you that is. The cost is 100% and the benefit is absolutely zero. All it does is cause you trouble. It makes you neurotic. It makes you nervous. It makes you scared. Do you understand that? So why are you tolerating that? That's what mindfulness is about. And it is about to tell you that does not have to go on in there. That is not a natural function of your mind. Wow, that's nice to tell you. Do you understand that? That's not a natural function of your mind. Your mind doesn't have a natural function, no more than your body. Your body has low-level functions that it carries out, but it's not like your body's supposed to be walking somewheres. You decide where it goes. It's not like your body's supposed to be running or jumping or eating. You do this, right? Your body is your servant. You are the master, and you were given this body so that you can carry out your life and your career or what you want to do. Isn't it true? It's your body, and when it doesn't do well, you take it in for a tune-up, right? Your mind is exactly the same. Your mind is a gift that was given to you by creation, by God, call it whatever you want, it doesn't matter. It is a gift that was given to you. You wouldn't, if it stopped working, you wouldn't know what to do, all right? It's just a built-in computer that has memory, it has logic, it has capability of analysis, and you get to do with it what you want. If it is misbehaving, if it is not being still when it's meant to be still, if it is talking about things that have no benefit, for example, anything that happened 25 years ago is of no benefit to be bothered by today. Who wants to admit that? I know you don't know how to do it, but I'm challenging you. Anything that happened in your childhood, come on, you're grown up now. Anything that happened in your childhood, I don't care how traumatic it was. I don't care how tough it was. I don't care how unfair it was. It's over. Do you understand that? It's over. If it is still going on in your mind bothering you, that's a problem, isn't it? The event is not a problem. The event was a problem when it happened. Absolutely. We all want to help and make sure that doesn't happen. I'm not saying we shouldn't deal with things, right? But if it's 25 years later and it has not happened for 25 years and it's bothering you, it is affecting your current relationships, it is affecting your career, it is affecting your happiness in life, right or wrong, for absolutely no benefit, zero, no reason. And so a wise person who wants to have a full life wakes up one day and says, yes, I have a mind, and I have not paid attention to what it's doing. I haven't owned it. I haven't driven it. A car is a great thing, but not while you're not steering. Do you understand that? You get in that car and just start pushing the pedals. Nothing good's going to happen, is it? You get inside that mind and leave it on its own to regurgitate the things that bothered you, to think about things you wanted that didn't happen, right? What is that doing for your schoolwork? Ever read a book and find out that after you turn 4 pages, you better go back because you didn't read a darn thing? Yes or no? You know you have. What was your mind doing when it was supposed to be reading? I'm telling you, it was thinking about what happened 20 years ago. It was thinking about what might happen 20 years from now. You understand that, right? The Beatles song I like, you know, will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64? They were 20 years old when they sang that song, okay? So what are you doing worrying about what's going to happen to you when you're 64 years old when you're 20, right? It is of no benefit. You work with it along the way. So mindfulness is about this. It is about finally waking up one day and saying, I'm the boss. I'm in here. I have a mind. I can do better with it than letting it be a horror show, than letting it scare me all the time, than letting it remind me of everything that ever bothered me, than letting it worry about what will happen 10 years from now or 20 years from now. That's not fun, is it? Right? Let's say you're going to give a talk in your class. All right? A lot of people. The mind gives a little trouble before that, doesn't it? Oh my God, what if I forget my lines? What if I can't say, oh, I feel so stupid, I don't even want to do this. Does anybody's mind ever do that to them? Doesn't that help you perform better? No, it doesn't. So I could just sit here for the whole hour and a half and remind you of how ridiculous it is what goes on inside your head, right? It is worse than an arm that won't stop doing this. At least I can paint, all right? And some people sit there and say, they want to sit there and say, but it's beneficial to go over this stuff. Yes, if something happens to you and you make a mistake, sit down, look at it, pay attention, learn from it, then for God's sakes, not for the next 20 years. Why did I do that? If I hadn't done that, this would have happened. Do you understand that? You can't tell me there's a benefit. There is no benefit. It's just that you haven't learned how to work with this thing called mind. So now you get into, all right, let's say I want to work with it. There are two ways to work with it. Of course, there's thousands of different techniques in each of these two ways, but there's two basic ways, in case you're interested, because like I said, I spent a long time with this, right, to work with this. One is to say, shut up. I did it for years. Shut up, mind. Shut up. Stop talking. It doesn't work. Do you understand that? Or do mind control, or do concentration, or do lots of different things that try to make it so that the mind's tendency is to talk, bring this stuff back, create commotion. It does create commotion in there, doesn't it? Right? What I'm going to do is suppress it. Let's just call that's the first method. It's called suppression. Many people, what they call meditation, is suppression. That's all they're doing in there, all right? Then they come back and say it didn't work. Of course it doesn't work. Freud taught you that. Suppression doesn't work. If there's an energy that needs to express itself in the universe and you push it down, it's coming back up. Do you understand that? Or you will have to fight with it to stay down your entire life, and that's what you did with your chi, with your energy, right? And you wear yourself out. I always tell people, it is not your body that makes you bend over and get older. It's the weight of what you're carrying with you, all right? I've met plenty of older people that are very, very healthy, all right, and very vibrant. You build this stuff up in there, and it bears you down, doesn't it? It weights you down. So one, and I mean, I'm into yoga, so you all learn mantra. I like meditation. I love mantra. I'm not saying not to do these things, but we're going to spend an hour and talk about the proper way and the wrong way. There are people who use mantra to beat the heck out of the rest of their mind, so it starts to shut up. All right? So that the mind's giving me trouble. All right? Gurung, 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 bad, God, God. It's like, it's a sledgehammer. Do you understand that? It's not the proper use of these things. So one way to try to deal with it out of any of these different ways you want, and I didn't mention drugs, please don't. That's what they try to do. Drug the damn thing. Right? You know, my impersonation of a drunk. If it's misbehaving and it's giving me trouble, if I drink enough, it'll go, I don't know I did that. Maybe and it can't talk. Right? So there, you won. Laugh. But it explains so much. There's only one reason a person drinks. There's only one reason a person does drugs. Because their mind's bothering them. Do you understand that? All right. I don't want your mind to bother you. I am telling you, I am assuring you that no more than that arm has to go up and down. There's something you can do about it. Right? That mind does not have to bother you, ever. I'm challenging you, ever. It can be your best friend. It can just be there to serve you like it's supposed to, like your car. You don't have to worry what your car does at night while you're sleeping and go out and hitting people, all right? Your car behaves. You put your hands on the steering wheel, you tell it where to go, and it pretty much does it, doesn't it? Your mind should be exactly like that. It is your servant. It is a tool. It is an appliance that was given to you, an inboard. It's the most personal of all personal computers, isn't it? Okay? So one method is what I call the suppression method. And it's a broad spectrum of I'm going to use will to stop this thing from disturbing me by pushing it down, quieting it down, doing that. I don't advise it. It's a struggle. Actually, there's 3 methods. I'm sorry. I forgot one, the one that everybody does. Because not everybody does that one. They don't even bother. Here's the one. My mind is bothering me. Oh, poor mind. What are you bothering me about? Sally's talking to Fred. What should we do about it? Right? We could go there and tell Fred that Sally doesn't like him and so that he won't talk to her. Like, you can try to make the world around you become the way your mind needs it to be so it fits the garbage you have in there so your mind stops complaining. That was a long sentence. Did you get that one? Do you understand that? All right? I feel insecure. People don't like me. Well, I could change my look. I could wear different things. I get a new car. I get a Ferrari. I get people like Ferraris. No, but not everybody likes Ferraris. I get a Beetle because then they like me. Like, your mind does that, doesn't it? It tries to figure out how the world needs to be so that your mind stops bothering you. And it will tell you incessantly what you need to do, what everybody else needs to do, and then it will tell you how to try to manipulate and control situations. Those are dirty words, but we do that, don't we? How to manipulate and control people, places, and things so that they are unfolding in a way that doesn't bother your mind. So that's what I call suppressing life. You understand that? You're taking your will and trying to control and suppress things outside of you so they don't disturb you. I know it's embarrassing to talk about, but if we're going to, if you're going to work with your body, you got to be willing to deal with the rashes, right? You can't go to the doctor and say nothing's wrong, right? You show it. Are you willing to admit that we do that? That's what most people do their entire lives. So that's one. Suppress and control the world around you, attempt to anyways, so that it unfolds in a way that doesn't disturb your mind. And maybe even mind likes it. I'm not saying there's not things that happen that don't make you feel positive, but it's because the mind likes it. That which turns you on turns him off. That which turned you on yesterday freaks you out today because you learned something else. Do you understand that? Things are not in and of themselves pleasant or unpleasant. It depends on your state of mind. It depends on how your mind is. So first, suppress and control the world. Doesn't work. Oh, did I forget to tell you that? Maybe you already know that. No one could ever control the moments that are unfolding in front of them enough that their mind is not disturbed. The act of trying to figure out how you want them to be is disturbing. Right or wrong? I don't know if I want this or I want that. I can't. People all the time ask me, how do I make decisions? What are the decisions? I don't understand. Because what you're trying to decide is how do I need it to be so that my mind stops bothering me? Okay? So you're not going to win that way. The second is you try to control the mind. You're not going to win that way. The third, which is what I'm here to talk about, and is the essence truly of deep mindful work, is to sit there and say, my mind's broken. Why? It's not its natural state. My arm's going up and down. I shouldn't get a brace. You understand that? That's a heck of a solution, right? Or inject it with cortisones or something to stop it from doing that. There's a reason it's doing that. I want to find out the reason, and I want to fix it. Then I never have to do anything ever again, do I? It's healthy. Your mind is supposed to be healthy. Why is your mind doing this? Why is it always talking? Why is it always complaining? Why is it always saying the way things need to be for it to be okay and then figuring out whether it likes it or not, et cetera, et cetera? The reason is because in the past you have had experiences, every one of us. Some of them were pleasant and some were unpleasant. We'll do it in 2 seconds, all right? Right or wrong. You've had different experiences ever since you were born that unfolded in front of you. So the world does. It unfolds in front of you. It's been here for a long time. And you get to see part of it. Not much, but you see the part that's in front of you. And sometimes when it comes in, it causes a sense of pleasure, a sense of peace, a sense of niceness, right? It's enjoyable. And sometimes when it comes in, it's not enjoyable. Okay? How about if I tell you there's nothing wrong with that? If a rattlesnake coils up in front of you and starts rattling, that's a freak experience. I'm not saying a mindful person feels close and picks up the snake. No, that's not mindful at all right? A mindful person notices that that's not comfortable. That's a very uncomfortable thing. Versus if a butterfly comes and lands on your arm, ooh, it's kind of cute, isn't it? It's kind of sweet. That has a nice vibration. The Buddhists talk about everything has its nature, right? The rattlesnake has its nature. The butterflies have their nature. Some people have their nature. Weather has its nature, correct? Everything has a vibration, a nature. When it comes in, it causes you to feel its nature. That's life. That's what's supposed to happen, right? The problem is we're not able to handle that. We're supposed to be the highest species on the planet, but we can't handle reality. So reality just unfolded in front of us. It caused this vibration inside, and what we do is if it's not a nice vibration, we resist it. We sit there and say, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to have had that experience. Right or wrong, I do not want to have had that experience. I would like you to analyze that sentence next time you use it. You just had the experience. How do you not have the experience you just had? And that's where it starts getting sick. When you sit there and say, I do not want to have had this experience, it was not pleasant to me, then you use this very will that was meant to use your mind constructively and productively to suppress that experience that happened inside of you. And you know you do that. We have hands inside, don't we? We can push things away. So we push away emotions, we push away vibrations, we push away thoughts, okay? Because we're not comfortable with them. Where do you think they go when you push them away? Oh, they just go into Nana land. They dissipate and fly off to God. No, they don't, right? They stay inside your mind. Do you understand that? You stick them inside your mind, and they stay there, and they keep trying to come back up, don't they? That's where your dreams come from. That's, in a nutshell, I did it in 15 seconds, a little longer, all right? That's why your mind's talking all the time. And I swear to you, you study it, you'll see it. It is because you stored this stuff inside of you. That's over, it's finished. You're supposed to be experiencing reality. You can't anymore because you have all this stuff stored inside from the past that was either unpleasant, so now you didn't want to experience it. When it comes back up, you have to fight with it, struggle with it. You were married once to somebody, and it was a bad relationship. You ended up getting divorced. Fine, that's what happened. His name was Ben, right? A friend comes up to you 5 years later and says, oh, I met just the perfect guy for you. Wow, what do you mean? What's his name? Ben. No. No, I had my fill of Bens. I hope you're laughing. You just missed your soulmate. Do you understand that? That person has nothing to do with the other Ben that you have inside, do they? And you're doing it all the time, and don't kid yourself. That is where your preferences come from. That is where you are not born with like and dislike, right? They are learned experiences. What did Skinner say? Man is the sum of his learned experiences. I disagree. Your mind is the sum of your learned experiences. You are the consciousness that are noticing that your mind is doing this freaky stuff. But you are absolutely, the mind that we're talking about, that automated mind that goes on by itself, is the sum of its learned experiences. Anybody have a question about that? That's why yours are different than his. And when you learn one more experience, you didn't like somebody, now you learn something about them. Somebody tells you something about them. Go, oh, all of a sudden you like them. Yes or no? Wow, are we weird? That's pretty weird. So this learned experience thing is programming your mind. And so now your mind has this stuff stored in it because you kept it inside. So the highest thing I like to get all across to you is if you're having a problem with your mind, and you are, you did it. Mommy didn't do it, Daddy didn't do it. The events didn't do it. The fact that you couldn't handle the event is what did it. Do you understand that? And those build up inside. They have an energy of their own. They're trying to release. Like I said, now we're into psychology, aren't we? That's all the psychology. That's Freud. That's Jung, right? Freud sat there and said, on dreams, go read Freud on dreams. He's going to say what I just said. He just won't call it mindfulness. It was a long time ago. He's going to sit there and say, you've stored stuff inside your mind, and at night when you go to sleep, you're not there to push it back down. And so it's going to come back up. You're going to have wish fulfillment dreams. You're going to have various types of releases. Let's call it releases of your suppressed energy. It's right. It is. And then what's brilliant, it's really amazing to look at, is that Jung came along and said, you know, there's stuff that you've suppressed so badly that you won't even let it come up in your dreams. You wake up and you have nightmares. The minute it shows up, you freak out, right? And your mind is so brilliant. And the unnaturalness of having this stuff stored in there is so unnatural. It's so, sick. Excuse me, right? It's such an illness that your mind has the ability to turn those thoughts into symbols. And Jung's claimed they were universal symbols, and he's right? Turn them into symbols, and all of a sudden you're dreaming of a hawk flying overhead, coming down to pick up a snake, and you wake up and you're weird, and you're getting cold sweats, and you can't understand why. Well, go talk to Jung. He'll explain it to you. That's your father, and he's abandoned you, and yes or no? All right? That's how brilliant all of this is. So mindfulness is not a cubbyhole thing about New Age, meditation. It is about your life. It is about the quality of your life. That's what I'm talking about. So if you have held these things inside, and you have, they are going to come back up. When you're asleep, they're going to come back up as these dreams, aren't they? Come on, you know that, right? What I like to call the mind that goes on by itself, those are your waking dreams. The one that's sitting there saying, oh, I don't know why I said that. If only I had done, right? That's regurgitating all the stuff from the past. It's doing the same thing as when you're asleep. It's just doing it while you're awake. Did anybody get that? You understand that? That's why your mind is always talking. For the exact same reason that when you go to sleep, dreams, when they need to, will release themselves. That same energy, in yoga we call them samskaras. They actually gave a name to it for thousands of years ago, right? That stuff you stored inside, that's stuck inside of you, that's not happening out here anymore, fair enough, is called a samskara, or a blockage. If you hold that energy inside, and you do, we do, it is going to try to release. You didn't like it when it happened, so you are not going to like it when it tries to release. So now you are at war with yourself. Now the mind became a battlefield. I swear to God, it makes me want to cry. It's like a healthy person knowing what a beautiful relationship you can have with a healthy body, right? And here you have someone who's smoking and eating and drinking and doing all kinds of stuff, and their body is, the poor thing is so sick that it's ruining their lives. They can't live their lives. They can't keep a job. They can't do anything. Well, you feel compassion for that. When you understand that if you store this stuff in there, it will not stay in there. It's going to come up. There are going to be things that remind you of it. Somebody's going to say a word and you'll freak. Someone's going to look a certain way or wear a bow tie or part their hair a certain way. You understand that? Or a smell. You could walk into a kitchen where somebody's cooking and you start crying because it reminds you of mommy or something like that. Or crying because you didn't like your mommy. Right? It can go either way. The point is you are carrying a minefield. Not a mind field, a minefield. Right? We talk about all the mines that got left behind in different countries, right? You are carrying a minefield inside your mind, are you not? Every single thing that ever happened that bothered you, you kept inside because you weren't able to experience it and let it go. Weren't whole enough, grown enough, mature enough, call it whatever you want, right? I was not ready enough to handle what happened to me. And because I couldn't handle what happened to me, I pushed it down so I didn't have to experience it fully, and now it is stuck inside of me. And it is constantly trying to come up, and it comes up as those background thoughts. Just try to sit down and meditate. People come to me sometimes and say, me, I tried to meditate, I can't. What does that mean? What does that mean, you can't? I tried to play tennis. I hit the ball into the net every time, but it doesn't mean I can't, right? I mean, you try, you do it. What do you mean you can't meditate? Well, I sit down, and my mind won't stop. Well, there we go. Now, actually, you want it to stop. You're willfully trying to get it to stop, but it doesn't, does it? All right? Only once in a while. Why doesn't it stop? I told you. I swear, what we have just shared is the most important thing you will ever learn in your life. You are running around with this stuff stuck inside of you. It is trying to release, and when you sit down quietly and don't distract yourself with a whole bunch of other things, guess what's going to happen? It's going to come back up. I've had people tell me, I was doing better before I started meditating. No, you weren't. No, you were not. You just didn't notice how bad it was, okay? And you don't want to notice, do you? You understand that, okay? So what mindfulness starts from is, one, I have a problem with my mind. Not my intellectual mind. We call it the intellectual mind, the analytical mind, the impersonal mind. See why you call it that, right? Very much I like the word impersonal mind. That's not cold. It means you are using your mind for what it was meant for, as a tool, right? The personal mind is the one that's full of all the garbage that you personally couldn't handle. And so now it's all stuck inside the mind. They disturb each other. I'm going to stand here. I'm in trouble because I'm in college. I have to prove myself, but I won't. I'm going to promise you that you take your IQ, right? Then you get your mind together, and you take your IQ again. There's no comparison. Remember that advertisement, here's your mind on drugs, right? And they crack the egg, right? Here's your mind on you. It's like you can't possibly be doing your best if you have that garbage going on in there. Even if it is not coming up at that moment, it is underneath there using your conscious. Well, if it's not coming up at the moment you're taking your SAT test, right, it's because you're pushing it down subconsciously. That energy could be used to take the test. There's no way you can argue with me, right, that a radio station sounds better when they're static. No, you can't. The music is not going to sound better. You can't do better. There's no way you're going to argue with me that your mind does better with that junk going on inside of there. It does not do better. It is of no benefit, zero. And someday you wake up and say, I got some work to do. I have work to do. And I'm telling you, if you do this work, you will literally get smarter. If you think you're not good at math, if you think I was never good at this, if you don't have good reading comprehension, I'm telling you, the more you release this obligation that you've done to yourself to suppress this stuff inside of you, holding it down there, you will find life is more enjoyable. Food tastes better. Relationships are deeper, and you're smarter. Can you understand that? Because you released it. So it's fun to talk about, all right? It's a very important thing. So the question is, fine, there's the foundation of mindfulness. The foundation, I always used to complain that people go to school and they throw answers at you. Now let's start with questions. So I have some place to put it. Now we have a reason to talk about techniques. We have a reason to talk about what usually sells as mindfulness, right? Which is too late. If people try to meditate, it doesn't work. What do I do about this? First, are we honest? Is this going on in there? I'm telling you, it runs your life. Do you understand that? It runs your life. Except I usually put an I in there. It ruins your life. That's all it is. It will ruin your life. It will ruin your relationships. It will ruin your career. It will ruin everything. You'll go to work. You'll enjoy the job. Oh, my God, I got the perfect job. It's unbelievable. My mind will just say, come back in a little while. Let's have a talk, right? Because there's no way that something's not going to happen at that job that isn't what your mind wants. Do you understand that? It's going to happen. Your boss is going to criticize you, or somebody else is going to get the raise, or you're going to want to do something and they didn't give you the day off. Do you understand that? It is going to happen. It is literally impossible. It is statistically impossible that the world in front of you unfolds the way you want it to. Uh-oh. Did I take Santa away? Right? I have a whole thing on this. Will you understand the world unfolding in front of you has 700 billion forces that are making it be what it is? You're smart people. We're in a college here, right? There are forces, cause and effect. There are all kinds of things that have happened that consolidate, coordinate together, interact together, and they make the current moment. That's why the weather is the way it is. That's why people are the way they are. That's why every single thing is the way it is. None of it's because of the way you want it to be. It's like you're bringing into the moment of physics and chemistry and psychology the reality of why things are unfolding. You're making up based on your past experiences how you want it to be, and you're literally saying it's supposed to be that way. Do I have to go any further? Will you admit that's kind of far off, right? Things are not going to be the way your mind wants, ever. Every once in a while, something will line up. It will not stay, will it? It doesn't ever do it. It disappoints you. I didn't think you'd be like that. You get in a relationship, it seems so perfect till they do something or don't say something. There is no way. It's not going to hit your stuff. If the stuff is in there, something is going to stimulate it, isn't it? Right? This is why life is so hard. We're talking about solving all of life's problems, right? Because the truth is, life is unfolding in front of you. You're given this wonderful opportunity to play with it, interact with it. It's a sport. Do your best with it. You understand that? I said you can do whatever you want. Doesn't mean you'll succeed the way you want to, but you get to interact the way you want. The problem is you can't now because you're scared to death that something's going to hurt you. Come on, right? You're scared to death that you won't get what you want or that you'll get what you don't want. And if you walk through life that way, you're so limited. So mindfulness says, I don't want to live like that. If I have but one life to live, heck if I'm living it that way. You understand that? I'm not going to run through life trying to make every moment be the way I want it to be because I can't handle reality and then get all upset and disappointed and then store more stuff inside of me. So, I mean, one wise people sometimes wake up and say, somehow I land on the planet Earth. Maybe you know how you got here, but I don't. Or I just, whoop, I didn't take a rocket ship. Look how long does it take to get to Mars? How long does it take you to get to Earth? Somehow you land on a planet, didn't you? All right? And you're going to be here for a certain number of years. The time between your birth and your death, you're going to spend on the planet Earth. I'm going to tell you a secret. The planet Earth is a really, really, really nice place compared to Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, or any exoplanet that we found so far. You understand that? You won the lottery 7 billion times over. There's people, places, things, roaches, spiders. There's so many exciting things going on the planet Earth. Every moment of your life there's something going on, isn't there? Right? And look how we live, as though it's a disaster place and we're scared to death of it. Mindfulness says, put an end to this. You don't have to live like this. So how do I work with this? What is the real way to stop this tyranny of the mind? By going to the root. The Buddhists say you work at the root. The root is you stored this stuff inside of you, and now it's trying to release. Don't sit there and learn how to push it back down. You have to learn to let it go. And that's the true work of mindfulness. You can do many things in between, but I'm telling you, you want to get somewhere, and you're capable, doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter rich or poor, you can have a beautiful life. You're going to be here anyway, you might as well have fun, right? You don't have to be scared, right? You know what it should be like? A mindful person wakes up in the morning. I'm back. I wonder what's going to happen today. I can't wait to see. It's like a mystery tour. It's like Christmas morning. Something will happen, won't it? And I'll have fun with it. It's going to be exciting. And at the end of the day, you put your head down and go, wow, that was fun. And you go to sleep. And when you wake up in the morning, it's a new day. You're capable of living like that. And you will do better at your career. You will do better at your relationship. You'll do better every single thing you do because you don't have these problems. Right now inside, we have serious problems stored in what we call the personal mind. We are then trying to do everything we can with our lives to make it more tolerable to live with ourselves. Trying to find relationships that make us feel better about ourselves. Trying to find jobs that prove that we're worthy of something. Do you understand that? How many people go to a job not to get to... Well, let me ask this way. Like I was CEO of a public company, all right? I had 2,300 people reporting to me. I can assure you, how few people come to work to get the work done. Do you understand that, right? I don't know why people go to work. They go to work so they can earn the money and have a nice weekend. They go to work so they can prove themselves that I'm better than somebody else. They can go to work so that they can climb the corporate ladder and be, you understand that? Well, you know, there's a job to do. There's a widget to put on an assembly line. And don't you want to do it nicely? No, I couldn't. If you pay me to not come, I just take the money. It should be the opposite. It should be you're doing your job and you love doing your job and it's kind of fun, right? And they pay you. Why are they paying me? I swear to God, that is what it gets like. In other words, I'm going to move on. If you are not okay inside, and you know what that means, if you are not okay inside, then life is a battle to try to create situations that will make you feel better and avoid situations that will make you feel worse. Can you relate to that, right? When you are okay inside, life is fun. Life is just, oh my God, there's not more fun that could possibly exist, all right? Every single moment is an exciting challenge to do your best, to bring your A game to everything that's going on, right? It's like sports. I shouldn't talk about it now, but anyways, sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. The question is, did you enjoy the game? Did you get better because of it? If you played a competitor that was better than you, that's wonderful. You learned. You understand that? It's the same thing with relationships. If you're in a relationship and it didn't work out, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Did you learn? Did you grow? Are you better now to move on with your life? Every single moment of life is a learning experience. Do you understand that? The point that I get across to people, I say to you, you are always better... Oh, I'm in trouble now. I'll step back. You are always better off having had an experience than not having had it. You are a wholer person because you had an experience. Do you understand that? If you didn't ever travel somewhere, then you didn't have that experience. If you didn't ever fall in love, you don't know anything about it. You're a novice. You're nothing, right? When you have an experience, when life gives you the gift of an experience, and you experience it, and you learn from it, how can you tell me you're not better off than you were before you had the experience? It can't make you worse off unless you resist the experience. And then it can really make you worse off, can't it? If you don't like the experience and you resist it, it can ruin your life. But the fact that you got to have the experience is really special. It's a special thing. It's a thank you. This gives you a taste of how a mindful person lives. But you can't just decide to live like that, because then you're going to suppress the issues you have inside, right? You're going to come to me and say, but what if somebody dies? But what do I do if this happens, right? You didn't catch on yet, right? Get yourself together. Be happy inside. Be whole. Feel complete, right? Feel love pouring up inside of you because you don't have this junk stored inside of you. Then go out and bring that into this world with enthusiasm, with passion, with love, right? And interact with every single thing that life brings before you with a sense of honor and respect and gratitude for the right to be able to do that. You have the right to live like that. If you're a student, love going to school. Don't go to school so you can graduate and then go get a job and earn some. What, are you crazy? School is one of the neatest, especially college, that's got to be one of the neatest experiences you'll ever have in your entire life. Do you understand that? Somebody's paying for you to go and listen to smart people tell you stuff. You don't have to go on the web and read. They sit there and tell you. Well, what do you do? Oh, I went to sleep. Like, come on, right? You get to the point, or you, I can't wait to get out and meet my boyfriend. It's always about something else. The reason is because you're not okay. And if you're not okay, you can't enjoy what's happening to you. You have to be looking for the thing that will be okay, that will make you be okay. So we have the groundwork down. The problem here is that you're not okay inside. If you were okay inside, your life would be totally different, wouldn't it? You understand that? Like relationships. You're wrong if you think a relationship is supposed to make you feel love. You're wrong if you think a relationship is supposed to make you feel needed and whole and important. That's wrong. That's wrong. You're supposed to feel love to start with. That's natural. Love is part of your being. You're supposed to feel whole and complete within yourself, right? Tremendous openness and power, right? Now go out and share it with another person. That's a relationship. Don't need and then get upset because they didn't give it to you. You understand that? There's no way, this is my view, I've done it for 45 years, right? There's no way that if you can't fix what's wrong with you inside, that someone else is going to do it. They don't even know you. They got their own problems. Do you understand that? Do you understand that? Nobody can go in there and get rid of the stuff that you decided you're going to store inside. What you're basically asking, though, is even though I have this inside of me, make me feel better, tell me you love me, be my friend, et cetera, and that will make it easier for me to live with the junk I have inside. No, I want so much more for you. You understand that? I want that you feel whole and complete inside, that you don't have that junk inside, and that you can come out and share your being. And imagine if two people are doing that in a relationship. Right? That's beautiful, man, right? So this is what it means to get high. That's what mindfulness is about, not drugs, right? It's about learning that you're a great being. There is greatness inside of you. You're a human being. It's the highest species on the planet, right? You have a brilliant mind. You have a beautiful heart that's capable of experiencing beautiful things. You broke it. You broke your heart. Somebody else didn't break your heart. You stored all this garbage inside every time something bothered you. Now your heart's full of pain. Do you understand that? It doesn't take much for you to feel pain in your heart, does it? Somebody doesn't say something or says it wrong, or not the right intonation, or doesn't say hello. Oh my God, why didn't they say hello? I never did anything. Okay? That, I'm telling you, every bit of this is because you stored that stuff inside of you. If you get rid of that stuff, your whole life changes. So that's why mindfulness as a way of life, right? Mindfulness is your life. It's not even a way of life. So how does one go about, first of all, is it possible to literally get rid of all this stuff in there? Yes. I'm telling you, there is no super glue in there. I swear to God, that is not the nature of things. There is nothing gluing that stuff inside of you. If it is inside of you what happened 20 years ago, it is because you are holding it inside of you. Do you understand that? And they talk about neural pathways. That's absolutely right. You are carving those neural pathways willfully. You are holding it together. The minute they try to change and release, you push them right back down. They can watch it with their CAT scans, with their MRIs. Do you understand that? You are in control in there. You're just not paying attention. So the answer is always very simple. Once you find the root of the problem, you don't deal with it the leaf, you deal with it the root. The root of the problem is that you couldn't handle the experiences that unfolded in front of you, period. And because you couldn't handle them, you stored them inside, and now you can't handle anything because everything reminds you of these disturbing problems. So when it's said and done, though it's hard to swallow, sometimes you'd rather just meditate or do a mantra, not enough, not even close, right? You have to sit there and say, I don't want this stuff inside of me. I don't want this stuff inside of me. All right? I don't want to run around with this stuff inside of me and then worry that something's going to hit it, or oblige the person I'm in a relationship with to make sure, I told you we don't talk about this sort of thing. I told you I don't like when you do that. Wow, okay. Right? And you're going to find out eventually that you can get rid of this stuff. How? It's very, very simple. You won't do it, but it's very, very simple. You just decide, I'm not going to keep this stuff inside of me. The cost is too great. And what's going to happen is it'll start to come up. When? You'll notice. It comes up all the time, doesn't it? Right? You don't even have to go find it. Do I need Freud to show me where it is? No, you don't need Freud to show where it is. It'll come right back up in your face, won't it? It comes up all the time, every day. If the car in front of you is driving a speed that you're not comfortable with, watch what happens inside of you. It's not okay, is it? And all of this anger or disturbance or frustration comes up inside because the person is driving 10 miles an hour below the speed limit, right? Do you really want to live like that? And have these very simple, everyday things ruin your life? Because they are affecting your entire life. And so you decide, I am going to be a rare person. I am going to devote my life, not an hour, 15 minutes here or there. I'm going to devote my life to letting go of this stuff that I have stored inside of me. And I'm telling you, if you do that every day, all the time, mindfully, that's where it comes from. You stay conscious enough to realize, yep, there's somebody driving in front of me 10 miles over the speed limit. I have a choice. I can't pass them. I'm not telling you not to pass them. If it's got a dotted line, pass them. I told you, you can do what you want, right? But you can't pass them. Now you have a choice. Destroy your life over it or have fun. It's your choice, okay? Like if they really do it really slow, because I like to drive fast, all right? And they really do it really slow. I say they're 15 miles on. Come on, go for 20. No one's ever done 20 yet. Come on, don't win the prize. 20 below the speed limit. Go 5 in a 30. Come on. And it's better than what he would be doing otherwise. Do you understand that? So if you have a choice between using your mind constructively, productively, or leaving your mind to screw up your life on its own, I'm telling you, you're better off. And that's part of mindfulness. That's where affirmation comes from, isn't it? What is affirmation? Instead of letting your mind do the garbage it would do by itself, because it's trying to release the pollution you got in there, okay? Start saying positive things with your mind. Just say, oh, God, it's such a nice day, right? Look, I get to go a little slower. Just try it. And you're going to find out that you went from point A to point B and you're better off. All right? You will always be better off to constructively use your mind than you will be to allow it to destroy itself. And that's what it's doing, right? So depression, all these different problems people have, you can work your way out of these things. They're all due to the fact that you stored this garbage in there, and life gets heavy. You don't have to do that. So what it means to live a life mindfully, I'm not talking about a mindful practice, but the practice of life as mindfulness, is to sit here and say, I woke up in the morning, I still got stuff in me, okay? There will be less when I go to sleep than when I woke up. That's all. How much less? None of your business, right? But there will be less. I have a lifetime to grow. I have a lifetime to release this garbage that I've stored inside. So the number one first step is no more goes in. That's your highest mindfulness technique. Once you understand, you do understand what I said is true, isn't it? That's a problem, isn't it? Okay? It causes big troubles in your life. No more goes in. I mean, no more goes in. There will be no situation that unfolds in my life from this moment forward that is disturbing. I admit it to you. Sometimes life is disturbing, right? Okay? And sometimes it's pleasant. Very good. But when it's done, I have a rule. If it's done outside, it's done inside. Makes sense, doesn't it? Okay? Because otherwise you're going to put more of this junk in there. So you learn, and again, what can help you? Meditation can help you. Put aside 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening, do some breathing, whatever it is. What's that about? Reminding yourself that you're in there and that you want to free yourself, that you don't want to be bound by all this garbage. So it's like meditation is like tennis practice. If you want to play tennis, there is no way that every time you go out there and hit balls, you don't get better. Do you understand that? Okay? Because you're building your muscles, your hand-eye coordination gets better. It's the exact same thing with meditation. Don't think that a good meditation means you went to samadhi. Please, don't do that. All right? Or that you got completely peaceful. A good meditation is that you sat down and said, this is my time to remember I don't want this stuff inside of me. And what happens during those 15 minutes, it doesn't matter. right? Like some people come to me and say, I can't meditate. Why? Because I sit down, my mind just won't shut up. And I kiddingly touch their feet. Oh my God, it's so holy. What do you mean that's so holy? You notice that your mind didn't shut up? Wow, that's witness consciousness. I mean, that's a great state, that you notice that your mind is talking when you didn't want it to. Guess what? It's always doing that. You're just not paying attention, all right? So this doesn't have to be a struggle. This is not a warrior taking on mindfulness. This is a person who, and look how logical it is too, right? People say spirituality is beyond reason. No, it's not. It's the most reasonable thing in the world, all right? To not do it is completely unreasonable. To literally do a cost-benefit analysis and always pick that which is 100% cost and zero benefit, that seems pretty unreasonable to me, all right? So you sit there and say, I will put aside time, if that's what you choose to do, in the morning and evening, watch your breath, do whatever technique you want to do, but what it's really about is remembering that you're in there and you're the boss. Do you understand that? And that right now, you're not doing so well at working with the mind because, and you will see, when you try to work with the mind, you're going to see it's nervousness, it's anxiety, it's fear of the future, it's problems with the past. That's what the mind talks about, right? It worries, it's just releasing the garbage. You need to apologize to your mind. Some people say, you get mad at your mind, work with your mind. No, you apologize. You told your mind, I don't like this. I'm going to store it inside of you for the rest of my life. Now I want you to figure out how everybody needs to be for me to be okay, even though I did that. Get to work. Okay. All right? But your mind said, okay, on the job, 24 hours a day. Don't bother sleeping because you won't be able to. Right? Do you understand? So you basically sit there and apologize to your mind and say, I am so sorry I told you to do this. It's not your job anymore. It is not your job to figure out how everybody and everything, including the weather, needs to be for me to be okay. Do you understand that? It's not my job. I'm okay. I'll deal with it. And then as you sit down and meditate, you watch your breath and so on, you'll notice that your mind still has residual problems because of what you did in the past. Fine. Every time you sit, you let go of more. Every time you find that seat of consciousness where you sit inside and you're okay with the fact that the mind is still disturbed. You don't want to wait until your mind is not disturbed for you to be okay. I need you to be okay even though the mind is disturbed. You're not your mind. You're the consciousness that's watching your mind. You can be perfectly at peace. You can have a bad, have a bad hair day. You can have a bad heart day or a bad mind day. How your mind doing? Oh, it's crazy. It's really funny. You should see what it's saying. Much healthier. Understand that? So you learn, that's what your practices are about. You learn to sit inside in your seat of consciousness, realize the mind is broken, the automated mind, the personal mind is broken because you broke it. I gave you the talk because you stored all that stuff in there. Then during the day, it's not enough to sit. During the day, you're going to have constant interactions that are bothering your mind. Do you understand that? Not just the big ones. I told you, these tiny little things, right? Something you can't find your keys. Oh my God, what's going on? Who took my keys? Oh, there they are. You just created a commotion, an ocean of commotion inside your head for absolutely no reason. Be conscious. That's what mindfulness is. Be conscious and realize, okay, I'm sitting on a planet, spinning in the middle of outer space, and there are these keys, and I can't find them right now. Let's have fun. Okay? Enjoy the experience you are having. That's what you do, right? You work with yourself to do that. So if what happens is stuff comes up, and this is the big one, stuff's going to come up. If you don't put new stuff, I would warn you, if you don't put new stuff down there, the old stuff's going to come up even faster. It's a LIFO stack. You study inventory management. Last in, first out. Okay? So when you stuff the stuff down to happen today, it's pushing the other stuff further down. That's why it comes up at night. If you don't put the stuff down today, you'll be walking around. You'll say, hey, Sally, how are you? And Sally will walk by. Your mind will go, did she not hear me? What did I do? Why isn't she like me? This is like high school. In high school, nobody said hello to me either. Oh, okay. Wow. All right? And what you do, if you're a mindful person, is you say, wow, you've been down there that whole time? Since high school? Oh, my God, I'm so sorry. It's like locking a kid in the closet. That's not a nice thing to do. All right? Come on up. You are welcome. You are welcome. But it hurts. Good. No pain, no gain. It went down with pain. It's coming up with pain. Do you understand that? It's not in there except that it bothered you and you couldn't handle it then. It's still bothering you even 20 years later. You don't want that in there. Do you understand that? And there's nothing, it's not like out here there's competition. In here there's no competition. You don't want it in there, let it go. And you learn to do this thing I teach called relax and release. R&R. Get yourself some R&R, all right? You relax and release. When it comes up and it's not comfortable, the right action is not to push it back down. The right action is not to make the person stop what they're doing, run after Sally. Did you hear me? Why didn't you hear me? Or decide you'll never talk to her again. She'll see what it feels like. No, that's not right action. Right action is, I can handle this. I couldn't handle it in high school, but I've grown since high school. I can handle this. I can handle this. Somebody didn't say hello. And it's a big thing. I know it's asking a lot, all right? And you relax. You in there. Not your mind. It won't relax. You relax. You just relax and give it the room it needs to release. It needs room. Just like water needs room to flow, right? And you give it space inside. And I'm telling you, it will release. And then come up again next time, and eventually it won't even come up. You'll say hello. Just, they don't say hello, so okay, you walk around your business. It doesn't bother you. Kind of neat. We just start seeing that stuff's gone. It can be gone. And as it's gone, I can't see the clock well. As it's gone, you will find that all the energy that you used to use to do this mess of suppression and control and manipulation is released. And even if you don't do yoga or know anything about it, you're going to start feeling this upward rush of beautiful energy welling up inside of you, like constant inspiration, constant love. Your heart will like have wings because the energy is coming up, feeding it, right? And you're becoming a high being, right? And you will naturally start to feel it move up through the different centers until eventually it's always coming up through what we call the third eye, through up here and out the top of the head, the Sahasrara. The higher chakras open. Naturally, you don't have to know anything about yoga. I don't even want to talk about spiritual stuff like that. It will be your natural state. And all of a sudden, you'll enjoy every single thing you're doing. You won't be afraid of anything because nothing can touch you. Nothing can make that energy stop except you. Do you understand that? You have to push it back down, but you won't because it's beautiful. And now you get spiritual. Now, as that energy goes up, it's so beautiful that you're being, that's called being fed from inside. You understand that? Okay? You're fed from inside instead of outside. Doesn't mean you don't have a social life. Doesn't mean you have a business life. You just take all that energy and bring it into the moment that you're dealing with. And all I can tell you is at some point life becomes so beautiful that you can't even imagine you used to complain. Are there problems? Of course there are problems. There are experiences, not problems. They're challenging. They're fun. If you're filled with love and joy inside, what do you care? Right? So this is mindfulness. This is a beautiful practice. What it's really called is life, isn't it? Right? This is called living life mindfully, living life in a whole way, holistic, truly a holistic way. Notice all we talked about was, yes, you have a diet for your body. Yes, you do some exercise. We've talked about, are you putting any attention to what's going on in your mind? Right? And the answer is no. I'm just running as fast as I can to get away from it because it's causing me trouble. Stop. Stop running. Turn back inside and cleanse. Clean this out. Purify this. Right? Clean that out. And life will change completely. So I can't tell the time. What time is it? 5:45. So about right. We're supposed to go till 6, right? Perfect. All right. Good. All right. So I wanted to leave some time for you all to share with me, since I shared with you, and ask any questions, or if nothing else, I'd like to know whether you understand this, right? And you must admit this is a fuller aspect of mindfulness, right? It's every moment of your life. That's what mindfulness is. Yes, sir. Yeah, anybody have a microphone that he can? Maybe. Do we have another mic? Here, use mine for now.
Something bothering me, like I often, like maybe it's my mom playing a trick on me that like I don't want to forget so that I can, fix it in the future, like,
Okay.
So it's, and even you reflected that every experience is a learning.
Yes, it is.
Like how do you find that happy medium?
Good.
Where like.
What's your name?
Jason.
Jason. Okay, you all heard Jason's question? It's a beautiful question. It's a very deep question. I can only share my experience. My experience is that if you are open and receptive to the experience that you are having, and you let it come all the way into you, not stuck in the mind, you're behind the mind, come all the way back in and experience it fully, right? It will have the influence on you that it was meant to have. You will never forget it, but it doesn't have to be remembered in the mind. It becomes part of your being. It's like the rivers that flow into the ocean. When that water flows into the ocean, you can't tell what was the ocean, what was the river, right? So we're talking about this is deep level, okay? I mean, when you have a beautiful experience, the sunset, here, you turn the corner and the sun is setting, right? Or you're with a beautiful person you love so much in an intimate moment, right? You don't need to remember it in order to fully enjoy it. You understand that? In fact, if you're bothering trying to remember it, you're not there to enjoy it, right? What it does is during those moments where it's so beautiful is because your mind is open. The sunset surprised you. It's gorgeous. You understand that? And there's no resistance inside of you. And you had a spiritual experience. You sit there saying, I felt like I was with God when the sun was setting, or in this love experience, correct? It is, right? What you've done is allowed the experience to come all the way back into the depth of your being. You will never forget that. You don't need your mind. Next time I talk to you about that sunset, right? I say, oh, did you ever see a beautiful sunset? You know what you do? You go, whoa, yeah. You wouldn't have to bring it back to remember it. Do you see the difference? It integrates into your being. It becomes who you are, and it will change everything. You know, people, that's why love is so beautiful. You fall in love, it changes everything, doesn't it? Right? You don't have to remember it. It changed who you are. It made an additive effect on you that is also true of not such pleasant experiences. If you touch a stove when you're 6 years old, you walk up to the stove and you touch it, all right? You don't need to never have a stove in your house again. You don't need to go down, march down the street. Stoves are dangerous, right? And, you know, you only use microwaves. They're probably more dangerous. But anyways, right? You don't have to be neurotic about it, right? I guarantee you're never going to touch a stove again because you learned it. You're a knower of that truth. It's not a mental thing. Do you see what I'm saying? Right? It's something that became part of your being. You became wholer, didn't you? So it doesn't have to be traumatic. It doesn't have to be terrible or anything like that. It's just, and same thing with beautiful experiences. Let them touch you. Learn what beauty feels like. Don't remember it and try to make it happen again. Don't go there, and I shouldn't say this because we all do it. Don't go there at a beautiful sunset and say, wait, let me get my camera. Why? So I can remember it later. So you don't experience it now, so you can remember it later? Oh, you good. That's what we do, isn't it? Okay? Does that answer you? Do you understand that? You will find that every single experience that you let come all the way back to you, we used to call it Gestalt back in the 60s, that it finished, it made it all the way through you. It is a complete event, right? None of it got stuck. Changes your life. It's a holistic thing. It's very beautiful. Thank you. All right, who else? Come on, I want to hear from you. Is this the only mic we have? Oh, okay.
Yesterday I was at the barn and they had a panel of veterans talking about their experience.
Yes.
They have an aftermath of war exhibit of their photographs. It's really wonderful. So they had panel of five veterans, all different ages, who had been in different conflicts. And these are people who were in horrible situations that not of their choice. And how to, some of them had PTSD and stuff. How do you deal with that in a mindful manner?
It's extreme, but it's a beautiful question. And I have a particular person I've come to know who has had PTSD and was with the Green Berets, Special Forces and everything. And he's the most beautiful, loving, light-filled person. I said, really? You? That's what you do with your life? Yeah, I did 15 years, 5 terms, whatever it was, right? And he said, I came back with PTSD, right? And then I listened to the teachings, right? I'm not saying my teachings, but he did some, but I listened to the teachings, right? I don't have PTSD anymore. The answer is, what is PTSD? An experience happened at some time in my past. I couldn't handle it. Now, is it understandable you couldn't handle it? Nobody's judging that. I mean, of course. It's like you're a bad boy, you didn't handle it. Nobody's saying that. There are difficult experiences. Do you understand that? Right? You have a miscarriage. You get a divorce. There's all kinds of experiences, not just PTSD. Do you understand that? But they're life. If I could wave my wand and have them not had that experience, I would do that, and so would you. But there is no such wand. The experience that already happened, you are not going to change, are you? It happened. So a wise person does the same thing with this and sits there and says, the cost of carrying this inside is my life. It's the end of my life. You understand that? I can't have relationships. I can't hold a job. I can't do anything. I'm a mess. All right? Understandable, but why? I don't want you to understand. I don't want to be a mess. You understand that? You can't sit there and have victim consciousness and sit there and say, I shouldn't have had to go through this and it wasn't fair and you'd be this way too. What is that doing for you? Right? It's just enabling the fact that you have a problem. All right? It's not your fault that you have a problem, but you have a problem. What needs to happen, and it is possible to happen, is you need to wake up one day and say, I have PTSD and I don't want to have PTSD. And I had an experience that I didn't want to have. I better accept that I had that experience. I had the experience. That's what I did. I'm the person who had that experience, right? And come to peace with it within yourself. Is it easy? No. Is it possible? Yes. Do you understand that? It's possible to do this. It's possible with a miscarriage. It's possible with a divorce. It's possible with mommy's death. Do you understand that? There's not a single situation that can happen to you that is not possible that you can come healthy out on the other side, and maybe even better off. Do you understand that? You go through a tough experience in life, you become a stronger person, don't you? All right? So I'm not belittling the terribleness that it means to go through experiences like that. Don't misunderstand me, right? I'm really saying is I want to help you. I care. I have compassion, right? I can't take away the experience. The only thing I can do is take away your resistance to it, because reality wins, doesn't it? Right? So listen to me, whereas it's true that no one can take away the experience, it is not true that no one can accept and honor and respect that it took place and I'm healthier because of it, I'm okay because of it. That's not true. People have done it, and you can do it, and everybody can do it. Does everybody understand that? Right? But don't let it sound cold. It doesn't mean you don't have compassion and understanding for how difficult some of these things can be. Right? But I don't want to have so much compassion that I'm an enabler. And I sit there and say, well, yeah, okay, you're just going to be screwed up the rest of your life. No, you're not going to be. You're going to be a greater person because that's how I'm going to talk. You understand that? You're a greater person because you went through this and came out on the other side. How could you ever have another problem that's bigger than this? Kind of nice to look back and say, I'll never have another problem that's bigger than I already went through. I guarantee you, I've been through it. I guarantee you. It's kind of a lot of fun to be able to say that. All right, I made it through that one. So what? Bring it on. Okay, so that's how mindfulness deals with these situations. All right? You had a question? Jeff.
There's like two states of mind. There's the emotional mind, and then there's the analytical mind, or the decision-making mind.
Yeah.
When you're making a tough decision, how do you use mindfulness to separate those?
That's a beautiful question. What you basically asked me is, when I'm learning tennis and my backhand is so bad I can't get it across the net, but someday I do want to get across the net, what do I do while I can't get it across the net? Keep hitting it. You keep working with it. That's all you can do, right? You just keep practicing, and eventually you'll be able to get it across the net, right? That's my answer to you, right? There aren't two minds. There are not two minds. There's one mind. It's an appliance. It's a computer. You understand that? There's not two computers, right? One that you do good things with and one you do not good things with. There's one computer, right? You're just using it different ways. You have a mind. One thing you do with your mind is analysis, intellectual, just analytical thinking. I call that the impersonal mind, all right? Another thing you did with your mind is very personal stuff, right? You held the stuff from the past. You built this whole mind. Everybody understand that? Okay. So there's just one mind. You're the one who's doing the both. And what you're saying to me is, while you're growing and a situation comes up that you're trying to analyze, but you realize your preferences are so strong that you can't see straight. You understand that? Everything inside of you looks and says, I shouldn't do this. This is not what I should be doing. I know I shouldn't be doing this. I've already chosen I want this career path, and I'm working on this, and this is not in harmony with that. But you understand that? There's somebody in there who's got some little personal stuff going on in there, have a little trouble letting it go. You understand that? It's hitting some stuff that I know is stuff. I'm not saying, you got clear enough to where you see this is the path I chose, this is what I'm doing, and this is just some leftover stuff. And so you've asked me, what do? You let it go. Sorry. All right? So you don't play around here, right? You let it go. You sit there and look at it. What do I do if I decided to stop smoking and I want to have a cigarette? Don't. It's not so complicated, right? I always tell everybody there's this yogic, be careful, don't tell anyone, it's patent it, right? There's a yogic method for stopping smoking. It goes like this. You decide you don't want to smoke, and then there will be moments in which you want to, right? What you would do is find your cigarettes that you had hid, take it out of the pack, put it in your mouth, light it, and inhale. Just don't do any one of those things, and you'll stop smoking. Now you choose which one you don't want to do, okay? The point is, there's no way around it. If you said you don't want to smoke, then you can't do the things that make you smoke. If you said you want to let go of your past stuff that's messing you up, then this is the time to do it, right? It's not the time to do it when something didn't hit it, right? So basically, if you're in a decision-making process, people ask me that all the time. People have trouble with decisions. I don't have trouble with decisions. You can really freak out if I tell you there are no decisions. I didn't say it. Eventually, you will find out when you are clear that the reason decisions are so hard, listen to me, I whisper, I don't want to take, right? The reason decisions are so hard is you're really not trying to decide about what's in front of you. You're trying to decide what will make you happy. You're trying to decide what might screw you up, what will make you sad. And you don't want to make the wrong decision, or you won't be happy. You don't make the wrong decision, you might not be happy, right? Once you are happy, you undercut the entire mess. It's not like that. Understand that? Here's the ultimate of how I want every decision you need to make to be. I'm fine either way. Whoa. That kind of took the pressure off, didn't it? I'm fine either way. You know, I'm 22 years old. Somebody proposed to me, but I have my eyes set on a career path and so on. I really am not ready to get married, but I really love the person a lot. That's a tough decision. No, it's not. Not a tough decision at all. I'm fine with my career path, and that happens, right? And if the person doesn't wait, that's fine. You know, I'll move on. It's wonderful. I'm full of joy and love and inspiration. I'm not full of need, right? It was about expressing my love anyways. I'm not going to lose that. Or it's fine. I'm so in love, and I get to devote myself to this relationship. And if it affects my career path, who cares? The only reason I wanted the career path was let me express myself. Like, it really needs to come to the point where you realize, come on, guys, it's all fun. You're going through different experiences called your life, right? And there will be times when things unfold. And what's really amazing is once you take your personal self out, it really ends up most of the time, the vast majority of the time, there's no decision. It's clear. It's clear. It was my own disturbance that was making it get noisy. I learned not to talk about this thing about decisions because people don't like to hear it. But do you understand what I just said? If you are not okay, and you are trying to decide how to be okay, you're in big trouble. Because the party that's not okay doesn't know how to be okay. That's why it's not okay. Do you understand that? Okay? And you're literally going to the part that's, aren't you? You're going to the part, but I'm so lonely. I'm so lonely. Who should I be with? Loneliness doesn't know how to not be lonely. That's why it's loneliness. All right? So you're going to the lowest part of your being to try to decide something. It will not be a good decision. You do your work on yourself on a daily basis to where you start to feel beautiful energy. I want you to understand that. I challenge you with that, right? Now you feel fear, you feel anxiety. No, no more ever. Just love, joy, constant upliftment of waves of strength. I shouldn't do this, we're in a university setting, but that is what the Bible means. And I'm a Jewish yogi, so I can say it. When Christ said, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of the Father. In other words, you don't live off the events that are taking place outside of you. You live off this spirit, this joy, this love that's welling up inside of you. Now go out and play. All right? Now go out and have fun with your life. So there's my answer to you. All right? It'll take time. You'll fall down. So what? Every mistake you make is a learning experience. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. Just what am I asking of you? What's the bottom line? Will you please understand and admit that you don't want this mess going on inside of you? You don't want to devote your life to the lowest part of your being, the part that's scared, the part that's insecure, the part that's needy, right? And if I devote my life to that, that's where I'm going to be. That's where it goes. And I would like to let go of what's causing that to be so strong. And I'm telling you, and psychology, of course, is all based on this, right? It is the stuff you stored inside that you couldn't handle before that is making it a mess inside today. Do you understand that? All right? And if you let go of that stuff, so your job is to use life to let go of yourself. To lose life to let go of this. Who else? Anybody? No, you can't be that scared. So does this mean you all understand, you're ready to go, and just can't wait to get out and start doing it? All right. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure sharing with you all.